Welcome back to the Afro Anime Initiative podcast, where we discuss everything in Afrofuturism from A to Z. And yes, we have discovered something starting with the letter P. Tune in to find out. I am your host, Darren Bradley, along with, nobody. I'm flying solo today. And I want to welcome y'all to the initiative. Follow us on our social media, Afro Anime Initiative on Facebook and Instagram. And follow us at Afro_AI on Twitter and right here on YouTube. Well, you know what? I'm by myself. Let's kick it off. Our first story of the day is, man. Dave Chappelle on his Instagram released a 30-minute clip of his new Netflix special, Unforgiven. On this Netflix special, Dave Chappelle talks about how when he signed his contract for the Chappelle Show, that now it's on streaming services, being passed around by Viacom to HBO and to Netflix themselves. Dave Chappelle not getting no money. Dave Chappelle asks his audience, hey guys, don't support this. Don't watch the show. Now, he ain't saying boycott Viacom, boycott HBO, or even boycott Netflix. He's like, don't watch this. I'm not getting paid for this. He even went to the Netflix execs and was just like, yo, I like you guys. I thought y'all like me. Can we not show this? I ain't getting a check. You know what Netflix did? Netflix like, Dave, you our boy. We spent a whole lot of money to get you Netflix specials. We gonna cut the show off. And they did. They took it down. Yo, I'm saying yo a lot. Forgive me, one take. I ain't doing this again. Dave Chappelle is trying to establish a point here that when you're young and you're hungry and you looking to get that money because you need to eat, you want to support your family, sometimes you do stuff that's not in your best interest. Like you sign a contract that, that's not good for you in the long term. Dave Chappelle, the Dave Chappelle Show, he wrote that with his writing partner. That's his baby. He doesn't get paid for that. And it goes back why this is the first story of the Afro Anime Initiative podcast today about ownership. We got to own our own stuff, people. We need to own our own stuff. And yes, I know sometimes we go to these big companies, these big established companies to get our stuff on. We want to share our art. We want to share our creativity. But we got to watch that stuff and be like, hey, yes, I'll need you for this. I still own it, or at least I still own a percentage down the line, even though streaming services weren't a thing back then, but syndication was. Or they wanted to syndicate it. What if they wanted to move it somewhere else? Dave Chappelle don't get a check when somebody else buys it to use it up. That's a bad thing, and we got to be careful of that. And my thing is, shout out to Netflix, because Netflix was too cool, too dope for taking it down. They didn't have to. They paid for it. But Netflix went to him on a business partner. Again, that's a partnership. That's a real partnership. Not that they own you or you own them. That's a partnership. Netflix was like, you know what? You our boy. We hear what you're saying. We respect what you're saying. We cutting it off. Chappelle Show is no longer on Netflix. And I got to reiterate, again, it's about control, y'all. We just got to control our own stuff. And even if you doing a contract, even if you're working for somebody else, but if it's your creativity, you're the head writer, your name's on the show. We got to have more control and more say-so about at least getting paid from it. So I think this is a really potent thing that Chappelle put out. Chappelle don't have to share his business like that. And I think it's really cool that he's like, hey, guys, help me out. So maybe I can even get a better deal because it's new people at Viacom. It's not even the same people that started the show that's there. So he's trying to get a new deal with the new people. And I think that's really cool. I really think Chappelle is kind of remarkable for doing this. And I think it shows us, especially for black people in the creative space, we just got to own our own stuff. And we got to be careful when we sign these contracts, even if we're young and hungry. We can't let people take advantage of us. We have to keep it together. We just got to, So yeah, go check them out on Instagram. 30 minutes is already up. And of course, the Netflix Unforgiven special will release soon and you can watch the whole thing. But that 30 minutes, it shows a lot. It shows and proves so much stuff. So yeah, check it out. My next thing, and this is something that I'll put on in the show notes, which I think is just really cool. Pac-Man is getting inducted into the Comic-Con Hall of Fame Museum of Characters. And I don't know, Pac-Man just been Pac-Man. Pac-Man just been around, and I've always loved Pac-Man even when I was a kid. My aunt used to have a Pac-Man doll for me. That the only thing that would make me smile sometimes when I was upset, Pac-Man. I think I've owned almost every version of Pac-Man. I think I got a couple of versions right now sitting on my PC. Yeah, I just thought it was cool. Like, nothing really to say there. I just thought Pac-Man getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's just a really cool thing. Comic-Con Hall of Fame, because it's just he's a character that crosses all genres. You know, he got video games, he got cartoons, he got comic books and toys, just everything, merchandise. Pac-Man's Pac-Man. I'm really glad he in. So salute to Pac-Man. And play some Pac-Man games. Go on Steam, buy a couple, play them. They're real fun. New cool extras and stuff. Pac-Man is it. Always has been. Since it's just me, the podcast might be going kind of fast, and I don't know if it is. The time says I'm at 5 minutes, and I already covered 2 topics, and I really only have like 2 more topics to go. So what we're gonna do right now is I want to talk about this book that Marvel put out on October 20th called The Wakanda Files, a study in technology and exploration in the Avengers universe, or the MCU. And what it is a book that came out on October 20th. It's about really Shuri, and it's Shuri going through the Marvel universe, the history of the MCU since Iron Man 1 in the movies, and just dissecting things and figuring stuff out. And what I think is really cool about this book, and I like that Marvel's kind of doing this, but kind of not, but I'm actually kind of glad they're doing it, because what it's doing is fleshing out a lot of the universe. It's getting deeper into stuff that you just can't put in the movies, or that might be overlooked, that can just be put in a book and in a really cool format. If you've seen the book even looks like it got Wakanda lettering. It got the little, you know how it shines a little purplish when Wakanda tech moves, like it shines like that on the cover. Really dope. And it goes to a lot of cool things, like remember in the Incredible Hulk, the character that Stan Lee played that drinks the soda that has the Hulk's blood and gets poisoned. They follow up on that, like what happened to him. He got cured. He got treated for radiation poisoning. Oh, my camera's shaky. Sorry, guys. He got treated for radiation poisoning. It follows up with like little minor things throughout the whole MCU about like what happened to the timeline when they went and got the Infinity Stones during Endgame, and how it sets up the multiverse. It goes into nanotechnology, like the Wakanda tech helped Iron Man, you know, do that nanotechnology, because, you know, the first time I really see nanotech is in Black Panther. It goes into like the mythological stuff in Thor and the Asgardian tech. It goes into just little stuff in the background. I think that's really cool. And they did it in a book format. But the thing that hits me, well, two things. Two things that hit me the most is, one, is Shuri taking the foreground. Is Shuri stepping up. This is Shuri's team, and Shuri diagnosing the history of the Marvel Universe. So that means Shuri's going to have a bigger path in Black Panther 2, I hope. And I hope this is laying the groundwork for that. And also, it dives into the multiverse. That even Tony Stark, right, they were figuring this time travel and stuff, I was like, we might be doing some stuff that won't affect our timeline if we pull this off, but it might create something else. And I think that them setting up the multiverse this way is cool, because, again, that's the comic books. The comic books, that's how they set up the multiverse. It just had a book. It talked about this other alternative thing and how it happens. So having a book do that again for the MCU is really cool. And I think it's a really good pickup. I think it's $60 right now on Amazon for paperback, and in all other books and retailers. Excuse me. And I really think that is super dope. It's super dope, because when you deep down into it about the tech and how it's grounding it, but also expanding it outwards. Like I said, it's going into multiverse theory. It's going into quantum physics again. It goes into just regular stuff like checking in on people, like, the dude died from the radiation poisoning from the Hulk's blood, which again leads to, if they're gonna do a She-Hulk, if they do it like in the comic books, how does Jennifer Walters survive a blood transfusion from the Hulk if this one dude got a drop and almost died? It's about the Wakandan tech about okay, remember those little discs that Shuri throws on the car, she can remote control it. It talks about how cars from 1970 it doesn't work on cars before 1970. Like, cool little facts like that. For a bigger deep dive, check CBR.com. They have a whole video about the Wakanda Files and just some of the cool stuff. I just think it's cool that a black woman looks like it's gonna be in the forefront of the MCU, because she goes into stuff about the 10 rings. We know the 10 rings is something from Iron Man 3, and it's gonna transfer over into the new Shang-Chi movie. She goes into the Extremists, which is also from Iron Man 3, and how that tech might be used to help Wakanda, because, you know, Wakanda doesn't have the heart-shaped herb anymore. Maybe Extremists can be used to give her or somebody else the Black Panther powers, because it goes deep into that too, about the ramifications of a lot of the stuff in the movies that we like, okay, they threw it away and it'll come up or it won't come up again. But in the book, the Wakanda Files, no, like a lot of things that happen, there are ramifications to that, and they will affect the MCU going forward, especially with Black Panther about getting the heart-shaped herb back, the thing that grants a Black Panther its powers. So it's really cool. I think it's a really cool read, a really fun read. I got a snippet, and of course, like I said again, the CBR.com video goes into a lot of cool stuff, but it's a pickup. It's definitely something I got to pick up. It's on my Amazon wish list. Maybe one day I'll share it. It's on there, and it's a really fun read. I think it's gonna be a really fun read, and I think they need to do more things like that to flesh out the MCU, just to give it a little bit more feel. Because, my opinion, they are really becoming more surface level. Like, the movies are good, but they don't hit on any topics or anything deep anymore. And if they do, they'll throw a joke in after it to make it lighthearted and not actually hit the point they're trying to make. It's like, oh, that was really cool and poignant. Here's a quick quip. It's starting to become a little bit too much for that. And I understand why they do it, because the formula works. I mean, come on, $1 billion a movie. Keep it going. But some things need to have a little bit of weight to them. And I think the book is fleshing it out. It's like, it's saying, like, these things happen, these things matter, and they do affect stuff down the road. Yeah, so those are like my main big geek topics. Nothing big, but this is something that I wanted to bring up, which I thought was really, really cool. Everybody knows that it's in the name, Afro Anime Initiative. We like anime around here. We like Japanese culture. I've been to Japan. Want to go back as soon as possible. Hopefully this thing is over and I can get back in there. But Japan is a homogenous society. Japan is an island nation. The people are the people. Japan is for Japan, you know. We understand that. But a lot of people travel. A lot of people live there. And there is a lot of underlying racism and stuff. And a lot of people don't say it's not racism per se, but it could be Japanese culture. They don't like outsiders, period. But as the world becomes more global and more interconnected, we are starting to see a lot of that racism going on. In Japanese culture, we already seen in anime. Like, oh, look again. I know we haven't talked about this a lot on this podcast, but I've talked about it before. Dragon Ball Z. It's a lot of racial stuff in there. I'm just not cool with. And I found better anime when I was younger before Dragon Ball Z popped off anyway. But it's a lot of underlying stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that comes from Western culture and the West and racism and white supremacy that's been leaked into Japan. They starting to feel the same way about dark-skinned people of color, Africans. They starting to feel that way. I bring that up to say they just had their Miss Universe pageant. And not only was the winner half Japanese, half African, but so was the runner-up. First off, the winner, Aisha Hamani Tokaji. I know I just butchered those names. I'm sorry. Is half Ghanaian and half Japanese. And the runner-up, Reina Kamisha, is half Nigerian and half Japanese. Once again, I apologize for me butchering those names. I'm doing this solo. I feel like I'm talking fast. And I'm going to take a breath. Okay. But those two women have won the Japanese Miss Universe pageant 2020. And people are saying, like, yo, this is a big change for Japan. Like, this is only the second time. Because the first time it happened was in 2015, 5 years ago. And that was, I can't even read my own notes. So, I'm sorry. But that was 5 years ago where they had a winner that was also of half Japanese descent. She was also from part Japanese. She wasn't full Japanese. And people are saying, like, yo, this is a big change in Japan. And I want to say, okay, that sounds cool. But is it them changing the culture or accepting more of the people in their culture? Because, again, these people are still part Japanese. Or is it lip service? Because let's be honest, over the summer, it was a Black Lives Matter everywhere. Every company putting up posters, blacking out their social media. Hashtag Black Lives Matter this. Hashtag we support this. But then you hear about racism in the workplace. Then you hear about them doing racist campaigns. And it's like, is it lip service or is there actual change happening? Is people trying to understand that the world is not just one thing, and that there's a segment of the world, dark and brown skinned people, that are being mistreated on the world stage? Like, that needs to be addressed. And a lot of people are looking to this as saying that at least in Japan there's a change. And honestly, that's the question I ask you. And it's a question that the video I listened to about this from the Black Experience on YouTube, the Black Experience in Japan on YouTube. Follow those guys. They're super fantastic. A lot of good resources for Black people living in Japan or wanting to move to live in Japan and other Asian countries. And they brought that question up, and I think it's a question. Is this a real cultural shift that we're seeing? Or is it people just paying lip service? Is it people saying, oh, let's just follow the trend. Let's do it now to appease them, but not any real change. Because let's be honest, we're facing that in America right now. We got a lot of people saying, no, we're going to help fight for Black people and do stuff for Black people. But then when you say, hey, what are you going to do for Black people? They tell you, well, wait your turn. Or, well, we do it for everybody. It doesn't help you too. Well, that's not true. And we know that. We know that's not true. But again, congratulations to those two women. And also, before I even move forward, Canada, Nova Stevens, I can say that name. And also in America, Asia Branch, two other women of color who won their Miss Universe contest. So it's like, it's cool and it's great because beauty pageants are cool. They showcase the world. They showcase people's talents. But again, is it lip service? So you nominate a Black woman at a beauty pageant, but then what are you going to do for that Black woman if there's a police brutality situation? Are you going to stand up for her? Or are you going to turn around and say, but look at this other woman. She won a beauty pageant, but you got unjustly killed and arrested. So that's my question. Okay, this is going to be really short. And I hope it's still enjoyable. But I've been Darren Bradley. This has been the Afro Anime Initiative podcast. Please follow us again on all our social media at Afro Anime Initiative on Facebook and on Instagram. And Afro_AI on Twitter and right here on YouTube. Hope everybody's enjoying your holiday season. And we'll talk to you later. Peace.